How many of you ever heard Glenn give a little piece of his heaven testimony? I've asked Glenn to share a little bit more before we start our message this morning, okay? Go ahead, brother.
Okay. Around the year 2001, I have osteoporosis, so the doctor tried a new medication. It was a nasal spray because the Fosamax pill hurt my stomach. And I didn't know there was salmon in it. I'm deathly allergic to salmon. Had I known, I never would have taken it. I took it, I died. Literally. Died. No breathing, no heartbeat. So the life flight came out, and they took me, the air ambulance and all that stuff. But on the way, I died multiple times. And they paste those shockers on you to zap you back to life. So every time I died, I went to this beautiful place. The lawn was as flat as could be. Beautiful. I mean, there wasn't one blade of grass that wasn't perfect. Everything was perfect. And they weren't the duds I was wearing when I died. I was dressed really nice, and there was tons of people. We were all sitting cross-legged with our hands in our lap, and there was no room to walk between us. I mean, we were edge to edge, elbow to elbow. And there was one person who was, flitting about from here to there. I could see behind me. I could see for as far as the eye could see. I mean, for miles and miles and miles. People can't do that, obviously. And it was Jesus. Now, I'm sure that Jesus appeared to me the way I recognize him. As I'm sure other cultures, they would see him differently because everybody sees him the way that they see him. And he would whisper something in someone's ear, and then poof, they would disappear, and another person would instantly take his place or her place, and then Jesus would be somewhere else. And I just kept wondering, how come Jesus isn't talking to me? Because I really want to know, what is he saying? But I wasn't afraid. I had no pain. It was a very comforting place. And then, pop, right back in the, ambulance again. And then I would die again, and I would be right back there. And then I saw Jesus again. And this happened about 7 times. And it's so wonderful. It took me years to actually be able to process this. Because it's really hard to, until you've done this and been there, it's just so overwhelming that he gave it to me in little bursts and little bits and spurts, like mostly while I was, right before I fell asleep is when I do my best everything. My best songwriting, my best thinking is right before I fall asleep. So I would realize, hey, this happened too. Plus it was a year before I could speak again and button my clothes. Cindy had to do everything because I was, I had really bad brain damage. That's what happens when you don't breathe when your heart's not beating, obviously. But there really is I was not on earth, obviously. And I call it, Marlene and I were going to call it the waiting room, but she goes, but it's not really a room, so we'll just call it the waiting place. So I guess it's like a pre-heaven, and I think when he leaned down and whispered something and passes all, well, actually, I said I wanted to know what he said, and he goes, no, that means you wouldn't be here anymore, you'd be in heaven, and we need you here on earth. But, I still wonder what he said. To this day, I just, I'll find out eventually. But then I won't be able to come back and tell everybody about it because, once you finally go there, you stay there. Who knows? You might go on to do something else after. I don't know. Nobody knows. But it's just a part of my testimony. I've got a lot more other things, but that's a really big one because, yeah, not afraid. I'm not afraid. If I die, I'm not afraid. I kind of want to. I don't want, don't take that wrong. I don't want you guys thinking I'm going to slit my wrist or anything like that. So when God is good and ready, I want to live older than David. He claims he's the oldest guy here. Sorry. He's only 54. But anyway, I plan on living a long time, or this could be my last breath. I don't know. Only God knows. But, that's the way it's going to, okay, I guess I've outstayed my welcome. Yes, it's okay. So that's pretty much the story. But it was really beautiful, and there's no reason to be afraid. Do not fear what
poison oak.
Nope, just lawn as far as the eye can see. And I can see
No
behind
big
me,
trees.
too. There's no trees. Just Jesus walking around. I mean, not walking, but just flitting here and there. It was, I think it's very difficult to describe. I wish I could just convey it to like mental you guys so you can see what I saw and feel the overwhelming peace. Not one person was crying. Everybody was dressed in their own. I mean, there was such colorful clothing. I go, wow, this is so cool. You know? So don't fear the afterlife. There really is Jesus, and there really is a God and a heaven. Because I know I'm going to go there because, you know, that was just a little hunk. I can't wait for the real thing.
Hallelujah.
So this is the perfect day to think about.
Thank you, Glenn.
Oh, you're welcome.
Awesome. There's one thing that I wanted to share. What Glenn said the other day when he was telling me his testimony. He was saying that he every time that he would go die, they'd shock him back to life, or they would put this
Nitroglycerin
in his
spray.
throat. Well, the last time he says, no, I want to go, but he wouldn't open up his mouth to let him put the spray in to bring his heart back. So what they did is they attached those things, electrocuted him, and they stuck it in his throat.
She goes, no one's dying on my watch. And I said, I don't want to take it. She goes, you'll take it. Zap. Ah! And then she did it. She goes, see? Women always win.
Isn't God good?
Yeah, God's great. You know,
I've heard many times about a waiting room in heaven, waiting for the party to start.
There really is one.
Amen.
Amen.